Really? Because, I don't know what you heard or experienced, but it obviously wasn't what I heard or experienced. And that's kind of the point. So my brand new single Spotlight just came out, and thank God and thank everybody who's been a part of making this the biggest release I've had so far. It's had a great reception on Spotify. It's been added to a bunch of radio stations. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the songwriting, the meaning behind the song. Lyrics are a really deep thing to me, and songwriting is an important experiential thing for me. And so I wanted to kind of take this apart and let's talk about it. So I actually wrote the song basically on a drive home on the way home from work. I think as far as I remember, pretty much wrote the whole song on that one drive, just kind of singing to myself. I was thinking about being honest as a person and as an artist, but also at the same time recognizing being purposeful with what I create. So a lot of people, they say that they want honesty and transparency from artists. And of course, I want to be honest. But at the end of the day, I also feel this sense of responsibility to make what I'm making be purposeful and it not just be me, not just me venting myself and being selfish in that respect. In fact, I don't want to be selfish at all. So I started thinking about the fact that every one of us in our lives, we have a choice what we shine the spotlight on. In the last few years especially, in fact, a lot of times in my life, I've had moments where I've had things going on that were, hard and challenging and difficult. And at the same time, I had things going on that were good and things were progressing in a good way. And the duality of that moment, I've had to learn how to say, okay, I get the choice of what to put my focus on, of what to shine the spotlight on. Now, that's not to say that I don't act like the problems don't exist. I'm not in denial. In fact, people that know me know that I'm kind of a bulldog. I tend to latch onto something and not really want to let go until it's solved, until it's done, so I can move on to the next thing. So I certainly don't mean that I'm living in denial, but I've had to learn what I give my focus to is also very important. So that got me thinking about all the things that I've trained in my life to do, whether it was martial arts or music. This basic idea, always comes back if you've learned anything formally. It's that when it feels like things are going sideways, when your emotions or the frenetic nature of the moment seems to be going in a whole lot of directions, you have to fall back on your training. You have to fall back on wisdom and let that be the thing that carries you through. And that's true for anybody. I've heard that it's true for airline pilots. They have to trust their instruments even when their head might starting to be getting vertigo. Trust your instruments, trust your training. And the more I think about that, the more that's true in pretty much any area of life. So that's what I really dove into in that first verse. Getting up on the stage, feeling like, the sounds that are hitting me, I'm hot, sweaty, maybe I moved a bunch of gear beforehand. Maybe I'm fatigued before I've even performed, and having people come up to me after concerts when I felt like I sang bad, when I felt like I was hitting wrong notes or not getting the energy out of the performance that I wanted, or I had no idea if the mix sounded good or not, and then had people come up and say, "We really enjoyed that, we were really impacted, we're gonna get connected." It's like, really? Because, I don't know what you heard or experienced, but it obviously wasn't what I heard or experienced. And that's kind of the point. Sticking to what you know still allows the job to get done, regardless of how it might feel to you in the moment. And sometimes a great moment, a moment of greatness, you've heard me talk about that before, may not always feel like a moment of greatness. And it's the best when it does. I'm a big fan of movies. I'm a big fan of cinematography and art. And when we're doing filmmaking, we're always trying to make a great moment feel like a great moment. Framing the hero up in such a way that they seem big and triumphant, sweeping camera moves, swelling music. And it's great when we have moments in life that feel like that, but not every great moment in life feels like that. In fact, sometimes we don't even know that a moment was a great moment until sometimes long after it's happened. And we look back and go, oh wow, that was the right decision, even though it seems so mundane or blasé or inconsequential in that moment. It made a huge difference. But there are a lot of feelings that are always screaming for the spotlight in our lives. Bitterness, anger, rage, unforgiveness, fear. Those are loud, rude, pushy feelings. They're certainly not from God. Now, hold up. Let me say God has emotions. We're made in God's image, so we have emotions. You can look in the Bible, you see there are times when he got angry. There was never a time that God was afraid, because fear is not of God. But there were times when God was sad, happy. He experiences a deep, full, real range of emotions. We're made in his image, and that's why we do too. But experiencing something and acting on it and letting it drive the decisions in your life, those are two very different things. And that's something really unfortunate about the way people judge each other sometimes. They say to someone who endeavors to make a wise decision, well, you just don't have a heart. You're just unfeeling. How could you make the right call in that situation? Don't you feel anything? You know what? If you've never had to do that, regardless of leadership position or not, then you don't know what you're talking about. Because, man, sometimes when you're the person that has to make that hard decision, you feel it intensely. You feel the feelings, you feel the empathy of all the people that it might affect, or the way people might perceive it. You know, I know when I do the right thing here, I know what this is going to look like. I know it's going to look like whatever. No, the feelings and the emotions are involved. They're deep and they're real. But we can't let them drive the final decisions that we make. Those decisions have to be made on love. They have to be made on wisdom, and not the fleeting, changing, loud, pushy, bossy emotions that try to flood us in the moment and push us into the wrong decisions. And that kind of brings me to the second verse of the song, which I haven't talked a lot about publicly. I fell back on my rage, and I did not look a thing like you would have known me, but I'm burning a page so the story can stay clear. And I don't mean to revise, but I won't go back and live in my exposition. I gotta be wise, so we drown out all the fear. Basically what I'm saying is, look, there have been times in my life where I have fallen back on my rage, where I have acted like a person that's not who I want to be. And I don't talk about that kind of stuff much because I believe I'm forgiven. Those things are dead and gone. They don't really exist anymore. But for the sake of example, and through the lens of looking back at it, and that's not where I am now, or that's not what I'm going to be. And so I'm putting those things away. I'm not putting those things away to be inauthentic. I'm not putting those things away to be disingenuous. I'm putting those things away so that I can choose to put my focus on where I'm moving toward, who I am, who I want to be, who God says I am. Because it's so easy for people to quickly jump on the train of, well, if you're not digging into all the nasty all the time, then you're not getting the full picture. And it's like, no, I don't have a problem being honest, talking about, all the different shades of life and the different things that I've been through. But there also comes a time and a moment where you can't let those things be your main focus. You can't let them be what control you and what make your decisions. So when I say I'm burning a page, but sometimes it's better to live healed, better than if they happened, than to constantly go back and lay in that mud. It's not that we don't acknowledge that they went on. It's not that we don't acknowledge what we learned from them. But there's a quote, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. And I appreciate the determination and the grit in that statement, but it's not entirely true. There's a lot of people who have been through stuff and they're worse off coming out the other end. The only way you're stronger coming out the other end is based on the decisions you make during that situation or after that situation about it. It only makes you stronger based on your own choices, not just the consequence of going through something traumatic doesn't automatically make someone stronger. It doesn't automatically build their faith, or else we would all be faith giants, right? Again, just saying, I'm putting those things away. I'm turning to a new page. I recognize that stuff may have gone on, but I'm not going to live with that dictating that to me. I'm going to live in such a way that it gives that no power in my life. Because again, I get to choose what I put the spotlight on. Even though I have the feelings, even though I feel deeply, even though I can empathize and sympathize, and even though I can share parts of those stories, I'm moving onward and upward, and that's a choice. So even though this is a fun jam and a fun pop song, it's got a really, really deep meaning to me. And I'm glad I got the opportunity to talk about that second verse today, because I haven't talked about it a whole lot up until now. So I hope you got something out of that. I hope that gives you a little bit more context about the song. If you haven't already, go add it on your favorite streaming platform. I'll put the link in the description of this video. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I love you. Jesus loves you. Until next time, onward and upward.